together, you'll create a critical mass of people. If you do it like an event, like you just do it, you plan it, and you create that happening, then in 2 or 3 years you go through a couple cycles, and then your local stores will realize that it's cheaper for them to buy from local farmers than to transport it from California and pay to truck drivers. Because if they buy it from California, you pay $2.99 for it, non-organic. If you buy it from local farmer, you pay $99 for organic. For example, in Ashland, Oregon, where I live, and it's easy to do in a small town, it's hard to do in a big town. You just go in contact with local farmers and organize it, and you can find how to do it. I'm not going to tell you everything, but I'll just tell you, in Ashland, Oregon, after several years of effort, people got together. There were some people who volunteered to organize. We have now 4 health food stores in place of, it used to be just regular Albertson and Safeway. Now we have 4 health food stores. Our local Albertson and Safeway have huge organic produce section bought from local farmers. They sell in things like organic bananas and organic peanut butter, organic things. Plus, I'm going to show you something very impressive here. Guess what it is? Looks like former McDonald's. This is the first McDonald's closed due to the lack of customers in Ashland, Oregon. Now, Dairy Queen is closed last week for the same reason. Wendy's announced that they stopped hiring because they're closing. Good night. Safe travels. Now, if you ever come to Ashland, pack your Big Mac with you. And that is their conscious effort of group of people. So if you want to, you are the consumers. You dictate the market, so you can do it. And I'm just willing to demonstrate that it's doable. Green smoothie is a wonderful thing. Children love it. Here is a child that practically was grown on green smoothie. He was adopted by parents, and they couldn't find a wet nurse for all the time. They put him on goat yogurt. After about 4 months, he weaned himself of goat yogurt. And when she was so desperate, what do I feed him? She would call me, she would call everyone. And then the baby was shaking for the green smoothie, and finally she gave up and gave it to him. He was drinking it and asking for more, and look at him. Just couldn't wait. She took him to the doctor. Doctor said, "Do you feed him nails? He has such a great hemoglobin and everything." He said, "Don't even bring him to me at 1 year old. He's very good. He's beyond in his tests. He's the healthiest baby I ever seen." This mother, she asked me to put her email in my book, and her email is available. She said, "I want people to contact me so I could give them the details, what exactly I was putting in those smoothies." Isn't it amazing? Okay. And so I put all of this in the book, Green for Life. All of these charts, all of these pie charts, all of this information, lists of greens, everything is in here. Unfortunately, we had yesterday 115 people in Chicago in my class. Day before yesterday, 105. We sold out. We don't have. This is the only book I have left. But I will not charge you shipping. If you pre-order, you could just pay me, write your address and phone number. I will fax it tomorrow morning to my office. It will be shipped to you. If you already ordered it, it's already in the mail. Okay, so you receive it maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. If you just signed and didn't pay, you will not. Well, I don't know. We'll meet next time and I'll sign it. I don't. Well, this is spoken for. auction.
Покажи тестимонии людям, покажи.
Yeah, and in the end, I have testimonials of all 27 participants of their. You'll see, you'll hear. I didn't change a word. There were even just couple not very positive things. I left everything there. You'll see original testimonials of every. I already have 2 feedbacks from from this book, and just overwhelmingly, I'm so happy. I feel like I gave birth to my 4th child, because it took me like a year, and it's just such a relief, and I feel that this is really wonderful. And I have to tell you about the weight loss and weight control. I understand that people don't gain weight from eating fats, but from becoming too acid. What is fat? Fat cell is a storage for the crystal of acid. So if you've been acid for years, if you've been eating acid-forming food like pork, pork has only 54% fat, when almonds have 70% fat. When pork is acid-forming, almonds are alkaline-forming. If you've been eating acid food, then you would, no matter how little you eat, you will gain weight, because that's the way your body is storing the acids. And that explains why some people on raw food cannot lose. They just lose weight, and then they reach this barrier, and then they couldn't go lower. And when I was on my raw food diet, I started to regain weight. 2 years ago, I started to gain weight steadily, and I couldn't do anything, no matter how much I exercised. I actually walked 7 miles every single morning, and I was gaining weight. I just began to slowly lose weight because of adding green smoothies. The same with people who stay too skinny. At all times, I had people who would approach me in the class, say, I cannot be on raw food because I become so skinny, 80 pounds. I just cannot live like that. I feel very weak and hungry, and I just don't know. And these people also were kind of in the corner, because when they begin to eat cooked food, they don't feel better, and otherwise they're skinny. When they steam vegetables, they feel a little bit better, and so usually they go back and forth for years. When I read the information about hydrochloric acid, it gave me an idea. I contacted several of my friends who had that problem, and I asked them, do you know if you have low hydrochloric acid? And several of them said, I've been diagnosed a long time ago with 0 hydrochloric, achloridria. 2 of them answered all the questions yes. That yes, they have low hydrochloric acid. I said, I would like to beg you to please give it another chance. Only now you blend your greens and see what happens. For 1 month, I really need to know. And a couple of my friends said, yes, I would do it for the sake of humanity. And they both gained 10 pounds. They were eating 100% raw and blended greens, and they gained weight. I used to say, you just have to exercise, but now I'm telling you that I think, I don't have enough proof to tell absolutely 100%, but I think I found what is causing people to be skinny. They don't have enough hydrochloric acid, they cannot absorb nutrients, they become nutrient deficient. And another very interesting thing, we have lots of heavy metals on this planet now, because we have developed chemistry beyond our needs, beyond necessity, and we really poisoning ourselves. We have so many heavy metals that every single one of us has now heavy metals in our body. It's been discovered that good bacteria irradiates certain vibration that destroys heavy metals or breaks it down on simpler forms. And so that's another kind of, I want to give you an idea. Why we have gray hair, and we begin to have gray hair earlier and earlier in our life, like our children now have gray hair at the age of 30, because the gray hair is a symptom of nutritional deficiency and heavy metals and other poisoning. So I believe that if you begin to eat green smoothies, your gray hair could be reversed. And there are some people who already proven that to be true. And Dr. Ann Wigmore was the very first one of them, I believe. She totally reversed her gray hair. So I will be looking forward for some feedback from any of you who will reverse your gray hair. I wanted to say that somebody asked me to say about our books. I want to announce special today. If you want to buy all 3 of our books, this is our raw family book that if you leave it in a bathroom, your spouse will spend there 1 hour and become raw. It's very inspirational book. It's it's a true story, very sincerely read, and it has all our pictures there. You'll see how we transformed from being to becoming very cute. And this one is 12 steps to raw food, coping techniques, very helpful because we live in amongst temptations. And this is book written by our 2 children, Sergey and Valia, very unique, who've been on raw food for 12 years, their sincere perspective, and they're very simple recipes. Quick and easy recipes, raw food. So these 3 books would run for $34, but we selling them for $25 if you buy all 3. And we also have, this is, if you like how I teach, if you like my energy, you would like my food prep class, which is very hilarious, has lots of tips, and I teach here how to make about 14 basic dishes. Simple, easy, quick. My husband would divorce me if I wouldn't learn how to make it delicious. So I had to learn how to make it absolutely gourmet, and so I teach it here simple. This is DVD, it's $20, and you can sign up for this book, and I would like to answer a couple questions. Yes, please?
The greens that you mentioned that you need to alter, is that on a daily basis, a weekly, or a monthly?
Preferably several different greens per day, 2, 3 at least, or at least once a day, at least whatever you could do, but not for 4 months the same thing. That's fine, you can mix them together. For this reason, I think even superfood is not enough variety. When people take dry superfood, there are like a dozen of them there. It's not enough. I think the best is fresh, and we have, I believe we have maybe thousands of variations, but we just lost the track. The good idea is to go talk to farmers who grow sheep or goats, because they would know what's edible. There are also, in the library, there are books, edible wild plants. There are also people who take people on the herb walks. I believe Hiawatha could take you on an herb walk. Can you? Hiawatha, can you stand up? This is a very special woman here. Yeah. Look. She dedicated her life, not for money, to give people health, to give message of health and raw food. And she's, despite of her ripe age, she's staying in a beautiful shape. She could do any yoga posture. She's non-stop working. She's fountain of laughter and just beautiful personality. Thank you so much, Hiawatha, for being you. I admire you. And people who came from which state? You local here? Amish people, right? Indiana. If you ever invite me to your place, I would love to come. I don't need any electricity or anything. I will just, if you have a large crowd, I would love to come. Because you're close to nature, you will figure that out, right? So let me know. Yes? You were drinking just kale and bananas. It was but I gave you 9 recipes in that brochure. I also have another handout for you, by the way. Thank you for reminding me. This is what you've been eating today. The pate and the bread. How to make this bread. And on the back, I put another article. Can you eat raw in a cold climate? So this one, we should have enough of this. So take one and pass around. Another question over there. Yes?
How do you feel about
Master cleans, well, you know, you decide. I gave you the basic information. You look at the cleans. Well, when you do it, check your pH and just reread the content of it with the new understanding. You're welcome. Yes? Yes, in my book, not only have sweet recipes, but I also have savory recipes, which just avocado or flaxseed. Yes. Some people ask me here, cannot you not blend fruits and vegetables? Well, my dear friends, I'm telling you, greens are not vegetables. You cannot blend fruits and vegetables. That's right, because vegetables have starch in them, like carrots, and it will give you gas, and you will vomit if you blend kale with the carrots. But I'm not blending fruits and vegetables. I'm blending greens and fruits. And greens you can mix with anything. And the chimpanzees were seen in the jungle picking up greens and fruits from the same tree, folding them as a sandwich and eating them together. So it's okay. Yes. So you can probably make a juice, combine juice with pulp and eat it, but it's no comparison with Vitamix. Vitamix blender whips everything. Vitamix, I understand. Still, it will be more like a puree. But Vitamix blender moves with a speed 240 miles per hour, and it liquefies everything. So it raptures all the cells. That's what you want. And I think that Vitamix is the best blender. It's better than any Liquip or was it K-Tech or any. I think that Vitamix, I like it the best. Vitamix blender, Vitamix. And I began selling them, and I sell them $25 cheaper, I believe, than anybody else. And I think they sell them here in Creative Health Institute, pretty good price too, because we really want you. It is less money than you pay in 1 month for medical insurance. Cancel it for 1 month and buy Vitamix. To lose weight, you should drink at least a quart of green smoothie in addition to your diet. Yes. I think they're coming to you because I had like 80 of them. Can somebody share one recipe with those ladies, maybe a family? You can have these ladies. Oh, their copy machine just broke today. Okay, more question?
If the person were taking medications, would the fiber have a possibility of absorbing some of those medications?
The fiber will absorb toxins, medications, and extra sugar. And it's really good for sugar. That's why we cannot just eat only fruit. Then we become overwhelmed with too much sweet stuff. And I understand that some people say now, like Dr. Gabriel Cousins, for example, he says, don't eat fruit because it makes you too acid. And maybe that's true, because you cannot just eat fruit alone. But if you combine fruits with greens, greens take care of extra sugar. And I did talk to Dr. Gabriel Cousins about my concept, and he said, I think that makes sense. Because we know that fiber absorbs sugar. And that's why people who have diabetes, the symptoms go away when you consume greens, blended greens. And it's okay to eat sugar, not sugar, fruits, as long as you consume green leaves. Yes? Yes, please? Well, that will be about a gallon. 2 bunches of greens would be about a gallon. But I found out from different experimenting that realistically you could do a quart per day, and it is very valuable. Plus, another benefit is that smoothie does not go as quickly bad or rancid or oxidized for some reason as juice. I sometimes was carrying in a chest with ice smoothie with me in the car for 3 days, and it was still very good. It was still bright green color. It was still fresh tasting. Of course, fresh is best. But sometimes I go on a 3-day trip in the car, and I don't have any way to make a smoothie on the way. So I take it with me. I make 2-3 gallons, put them in the ice chest. I'm fine. I gave you the recipe. Oh, you don't have the yellow paper? Well, you can put as much water as you want. If you put more water, you will have it like you can drink it. My husband likes it really thick, so he eats it like a pudding. It's up to you. I like to put there things that will make it more like a pudding, like mango or strawberry, blueberry, or banana, or avocado. So it's more like thorough. If you can do it with apples, but apples will separate. Well, it's okay. You just have to shake it every time before you drink it. Okay? Chickweed. Chickweed and also creeping Charlie, and chickweed, they're very edible. They grow in the backyard. They grow in the early spring. Yeah, but they begin to grow now again. So I'm just in my first year. You know what's funny? When I was just beginning this summer, I went to the farmer's market and I decided I'm so smart and I'm going to save lots of money. I went to all the farmers who sell greens and sell carrots, and I made arrangement that I pick up from them a bunch of the tops of carrot tops, beet tops, whatever, different tops, turnip tops. And they said that they would be so happy to give it to me. They would even give me $1 for that. And then I taught a class in Ashland. And then I came, just the same Tuesday, I came to the market. And I see that the carrot tops are covered with a rubber band and says a price, $1. And then I made another arrangement. Now I say, you pick for me dandelions, purslane, in your garden, because they weed. I said, don't throw it away. I'll pay you $5 for the staffed bag. Well, I was doing it for a couple weeks, fine, it was great. But then one day, one farmer placed my purslane outside on his table, and everybody who'd been to my class, and it's a small town, asked him, do you sell it? He figured out he could sell it. Next week I come, he has those little stuffed Ziploc bags for $1. This is so funny. Now, I told in my class, you know, I think about buying seeds of weeds and growing them instead of iceberg lettuce in my backyard, in my garden. And people said, where do you buy them? I said, I'm thinking about calling Seeds of Change and buying from them. I waited too long. I waited like 3 weeks. Then I said, Valia, let's just try to, if they will grow on my windowsill. I'm calling and they say, we're out of stock. They say, we never have them a lot. People never buy those. And now it's like crazy. Everybody's buying them. Obviously, people from my classes were very active and excited, and they started to order these lamb squatters and dandelion and plantain and clover and alfalfa and plant in the garden in place of tomatoes. Now, interesting thing is that there is a big difference between romaine lettuce, for example, and weeds. Have you ever pulled romaine lettuce? Sometimes you just want to take just one leaf, and you just accidentally pull the whole plant because their root is this big. Because they're so spoiled. We water them, we fertilize them. They really don't have to do much effort. So they don't even bother to grow a deep root. Now, dandelions, they are not spoiled. They learn to survive tough. Nobody takes care of them. They could grow roots up to 20 feet long. Sometimes alfalfa could grow, they found alfalfa with almost 200 feet long roots because they have to find the water, the fertilizer, everything there. That is why. Have you ever tried to pull dandelion? You'll never pull it all. You leave this much, it will grow. That's why when you look at my chart, you see that lamb squatters has way more stuff than even kale. Kale is the best, the darkest green, and lamb squatters has most. Lamb squatters has more than kale. See, a lot more than kale of everything. And I would think that other things like stinging nettles would probably have like 5 times more. So that's why weeds are more important. Now I feel so silly. 5 years ago, I've been growing in the garden my lettuce, and I was just pulling and throwing away lamb squatters, and I was so angry. They're so hard to get rid of. And I just wait 5 days and they're this big again. And I just put them on the side, didn't take them far enough, and they just, their roots grew back into the soil. I was just like, oh, why do you grow here? And I was asking, why do you come back? But now I understand that that's what I need. That's what my body is crying for. My body is pleading, asking, I want it. Well, just you figure out with your brain how to make it useful. And so now we're very close. And I really hope, I count on you. I hope that you're inspired today. Now we will never be suffering again from disasters and dying from hunger anymore. By the way, I picked up several stories from blockade Leningrad. During the Second World War, people for 2 years were cut off and they didn't have any food. While most of people were catching rats and cats and eating whatever they could eat, eating their shoes or whatever, just dying. Hundreds of people, thousands of people dying. There are few families were eating linden leaves, grass, stinging nettles, clover, and they survived. They didn't have any illness. They survived. And so I picked up those stories in some of their libraries in Russia. So that's a true story. Now when we have so many disasters happening, we know what is survival food. We have abundance. We don't have any more to be concerned. We just have to learn how to eat that, restore our hydrochloric acid, and then when if we need to, just eat, chew them thoroughly, and we'll be fine. Yes? Well, I live in a small town, Ashland, where we don't have much traffic, not pollution. We have only organic gardens there, and I live on the slope of the mountain, so it's okay for me to eat from the back of my yard. That's why I don't live on busy street. I don't know if I'll eat it. I don't know. Yeah, I think, I would rather grow it on my windowsill than on the side of the street. Well, last question, and then we'll round up. No. I asked this question, people who are chemists and biologists, is it possible to become too alkaline? They say it's virtually impossible. In order to be too alkaline, you virtually have to drink this chemical solution that's called alkaloid, and then you poisoned. And it's just like an accident. But not only food makes you acid or alkaline. When somebody tells you harsh word, it makes your body slightly acid. When somebody tells you heartfelt compliment, makes you more alkaline. When you're listening to soft music, classical music, even if you don't like it, makes you more alkaline. When you're listening to heavy metal, even if you like it, it makes you acid. When you exercise just enough, makes you alkaline. When you over-exercise, makes you acid. When you don't exercise, makes you acid. When you take a 10,000 mortgage, makes you about 20% permanently acid. When the child grows up and leaves the family, mother and father, becomes for a while very acid from grieving, from worrying. So there are many different things that make in us acid or alkaline. If we live surrounded with a green color, like in the forest, in the garden, it makes us more alkaline. If we're surrounded with red color, like in some stores, in some environment, it makes us more acid. Unfortunately, we have way more acid influence in today's world than alkaline. So really, there is no such fear as to be too alkaline. My dear friends, thank you so much for coming here tonight. I know you'll have a hard time driving back. Thank you so much for coming. I wish you to prosper and be healthy and experiment, and I hope to run into you in some juice bar drinking green smoothie. cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. It's Ann Wigmore. Can you raise your hand who heard me before, please, now? Thank you. And can you raise your hand who heard me just recently? Oh, wonderful, just a couple of people, so I could just start from scratch. 17 years ago, my family immigrated from Russia. And as soon as my husband took us to our first in our life supermarket, we were just fascinated with all these multicolored boxes, like thousands of them. And as we were walking along the rows in the supermarket, I was telling my husband, this is America. This is scientifically proven diet. It's all safe to eat. And I said, honey, I want to make sure I try every single one of these boxes now. And I think we did, because in 1 year, I personally gained 100 pounds. We were eating first time in our life as much as we wanted, because in Russia, in last year especially, we didn't have enough food. And it would be like, Igor goes to work in the morning, I'm with 2 little kids and another one teenager. And I didn't have no idea if he'll bring any food at all or not. And how I'm going to feed children, nobody knows. Maybe they'll just be drinking water. And if he'll bring, what he will bring, I didn't know. And one day I remember he just brought a big head of cheese because said, honey, I just couldn't find anything else. And sometimes he would spend several hours going from little store to find just milk, pasteurized milk. There was really a shortage in the 80s. So, and now we just had abundance of anything we want, 50 kinds of sausage, all you can dream about. So pretty quickly we all started to feel not well. Actually, we became deathly sick. My husband, for example, he already had 18 surgeries in his body. At the age of 34, he had such bad rheumatoid arthritis that I had to lace his shoes. His joints were swollen and they were deformed, and he was in pain very often, especially when it was a rainy day. And his thyroid was so bad that it was 6 times bigger than normal. His eyes were bulgy, his face was red as a piece of meat, and his hands were shaky as if he's an alcoholic. And his pulse was 150 when he was resting. So his doctor told us that he will be soon chained to the bed or to the wheelchair. And I was, when I was 34, I weighed 280 pounds. And I had arrhythmia, which is irregular heartbeat. My father died from arrhythmia, and I was also depressed. Our daughter was born with asthma and allergies, and they were getting worse and worse. And at the age of 9, our son Sergey was diagnosed with juvenile diabetes. Well, can you hear me well? I remember that we would just spend like $2,000 every month on medical visits, medical drugs, health insurance, all kinds of health symposiums or consiliums where we would just go consultation, second opinion. And finally, the doctors told us that they cannot do anything else for us. They really don't know what to do. They offered to stop Igor's heart with electrical shock, hoping that maybe it will become slower after it will hopefully will start again, and things like that that we just refused to do. And I remember how I said I was begging doctor for 1 chance out of 1,000,000 that our son could not go on insulin. And she said, honey, I think you just have to pray now. And she said, you have to put your son on insulin, otherwise I'll report you to the social services. But I didn't want to put my son on insulin because my grandmother just recently passed away just before that from overdose of insulin. So I was afraid to put him on insulin. And I was so desperate to help my son. I didn't do it for me. I didn't do it for my husband. I was doing it for my child because my heart was just broken. I was crying all night in the kitchen when I heard the word diabetes type 1 onset, juvenile. And I decided I'm going to find if there is any chance in the world to help him not take insulin. I didn't know where to go. Everybody asked, didn't know any answer. So I was walking on the street looking for healthy-looking individuals. And then I would approach them, and with my horrible Russian accent, overweight Russian lady in a suit on high heels with lots of makeup on, will ask something like, "Do you know anything about health?" And people would run away from me on another side of the street. In another several days, I've learned the lesson that first I have to say, "You look so radiantly healthy, ma'am." Then they would say, "Oh, thank you." Then I say, "Can I ask you a question about how do you keep yourself so healthy?" Then people would talk to me. In another week or so, I had a whole bunch of business cards from all these people who would just sell me supplements, offer me acupuncture sessions, massage therapy, whatever, malaluka, different washing materials. But seek and you shall find. If you're really sick, if you will keep searching, search and you shall find. Just in 2 months, the universe placed in front of me I believe she was the only raw foodist in the whole Colorado state 13 years ago. And this woman was in her late 60s, and she didn't have even one gray hair, and her skin was glowing, and she was full of energy. Her skin was very, very clean. And when I told her my thing, "You look so radiantly healthy," she looked at me like a sunshine. And I asked her, I said, "Do you know anything about curing diabetes naturally?" She said, "Sure." And never anybody was so sure before. And so I said, "Why are you so sure?" She said, "Because I cured my colon cancer stage 4 15 years ago." I said, "I would love to buy you lunch. Would you eat with me? I have questions for you." She said, "Thank you, but I wouldn't eat your food." It was kind of offending, and it was weird. Anyways, she said, "But I don't need your food. I would love to answer your questions." And so we went outside the bank, and she told me that she is eating raw food. I was so disappointed. I was looking for some secret, for some special treat that I have to work hard, pay lots of money, give it to my child, and he gets well. And she is telling me about carrots that I didn't like at all, because I already didn't have all of my teeth at that time. And I was saying to her, "Elizabeth, do you really believe yourself that humans could live on 100% fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds raw?" She looked straight into my eye and she said, "Victoria, I have been doing just that for 15 years. Secondly, no animals cook. No birds, no snakes, no insects, no fish, just humans, and just recently in the last, couple thousand years. Thirdly, Victoria, you didn't come into this world with the cooking stove attached to your belly." Everything she was saying was true. And she gave me this book. She said, "Okay, I have to go. If you're interested, you read the book. Here's my phone number. Return me book in a week." My dear friends, I've heard about raw food way back in Russia. I was the one who ridiculed my friends. I was the one who called them funny names. And I was the one who criticized all these vegetarian crazy people. And here I am with this book. So I decided I'm going to hide. I'm not going to tell anybody. I came home. I went in my room and I was reading this book. And I felt so weird. I was reading something I was against. I was like not myself. But as I was reading, I was concentrating, and everything I read there made sense. Like if you heat the food, the enzymes get destroyed. I knew that, the fact. And if you cook it, then the vibration and life is gone. If you cook me, I cannot teach the class. As I was reading more and more, I became scared. Because if one finds the grain of truth, then one has to follow this truth. I mean, there's no way to escape. If you know that something is not good to do, would you continue to do that? You cannot do that. So I got scared. That meant that the last pleasure in my life was to go out of my life. The pork dumplings, Russian borscht, all this melting cheese sandwiches, all the bagels with cream cheese. I mean, everything. It's the highlight of my day. Things I'm looking for in the morning when I wake up. Cup of coffee, hot chocolate in the evening, going out in the end of the weekend. Everything. I mean, what left in between? Just work? I was just scared because it made sense. That meant I have to do this eventually. At the same time, my heart was whispering to me, but your son maybe won't have to give himself insulin shots for the rest of his life. He won't, maybe he'll cure his diabetes. Elizabeth believes that he doesn't have to have diabetes. And so I was just split in two parts. But at the same time, I stopped crying. I was now whistling, I was singing, I was feeling I started to regain hope. Every morning while having my teeth in a bagel with cream cheese, I would dream about becoming raw. How I would lose all this weight and I will become so miniature, and I would buy nice dresses and everything would look good on me, and I would walk on the street and everybody would look at me. But then I would say, how in the world I just get up in the morning and instead of a warm coffee with beautiful food, eat a carrot. That just didn't get to my mind, to my heart. But I was now more and more dreaming how to do this. And one day I told my husband, I said, you know what? I really truly believe, I already read 2 books by then about raw food. And there were only 2 books 14 years ago available on raw food. And I told my husband, I said, I really believe that that could help our son to cure diabetes. But I don't think I could do it alone. I don't think he could do it alone. Honey, please, can we do it just for 2 weeks to try as a family, please? He became so mad. My husband became so angry. He said, I'm a Russian man. I cannot live on rabbit food. What are you thinking? I work physically. I love my Russian borscht. It's my culture. That's the only thing I brought with me from Russia. And besides, do you think all these medical doctors are stupid and you're smart? If that was so easy, wouldn't they do it a long time ago? Do you know how long does it take to become a doctor? 14 years. And you think you know better? Look at you. Don't be silly. Anyways, if you're going to do that, you know how much I love you, but you'll see we'll get divorced. I became disappointed, but somehow in my heart I knew that if I continue to try, something will happen. It was not until January 21st, 1994, when my husband woke up with a big tumor on his thyroid. He was in terrible pain. He barely could talk, he couldn't breathe, he was in tears, he was in pain. And I said, honey, let me take you to the hospital. And he said, oh, I think I have cancer. And I was just, as I was driving him to the St. Joseph Hospital, I was just praying that doctors will scare him to death. And doctors did a good job. The doctor told him, Mr. Boutenko, one just doesn't live with such bad thyroid. Tomorrow morning, bring the clean gown. Come early, don't eat anything. We're going to remove your thyroid. You're not going to feel anything. We'll just give you a pill. You'll take a little pill for the rest of your life. Not a big deal. Millions of people do that. Igor said, no way. I already have 18 surgeries. None of them helped me. I already promised myself I'll never make another surgery. Doctor said, this you cannot avoid. Igor said, what if I say no? Doctor said, then you're going to die. And Igor said, how soon? He said, in less than 2 months or sooner. Igor said, I will go on raw food. The doctor said, no, with this diagnosis, you cannot eat raw food because you have to eat a lot of cream, a lot of animal protein. You cannot eat it raw. Igor said, well, we'll figure this out. And on the way back home in the car, he pronounced, let's try, as you said, for 2 weeks this raw food fasting, he said. And then I will become healthy and go back to my Russian diet. Little did he know. When he felt a little better, he went to work. I started to prepare kitchen to be raw. I threw away everything, beans and rice and popsicles and everything, coffee makers, toast makers. It looked like we're moving. The only thing was there, a microwave. In Russia, they did research and they found out that microwaves are so harmful that it's even harmful to stand by when it's working. So when we came to America, we bought the big one. And so now I was looking at that, and again, my heart was splitting in two parts. One part was saying, oh, when the cheese is melting on that warm bread. And my other part was saying, your son giving himself insulin shots, or social services taking him away and putting in an orphanage house. And I quickly ran into Igor's shop and took a big hammer, came back and cracked the window of this microwave. The bridges were burned. I turned off the pilot, covered the cooking stove with a big cutting board, bought a set of knife, went shopping, bought green bananas so they last longer, oranges, and Washington delicious apples. I did not slice them because usually when I slice them they get kind of brown, wilted. So I just put them in the fridge. Kids came from school. Are we moving? No, sit down, I'm going to tell you. Mom, do you have another crazy idea? I said, no, we're going to be raw foodists now for 2 weeks. Mom, you're going to go to school and look at the food pyramid. We have to eat grains, most of all. You cannot eat grains raw. You have to cook them. Otherwise, you will not grow. I wouldn't grow. We have to have animal protein for muscle, for growth. Mom, you have to go talk to my teacher. We're just studying it right now. One cannot live on raw food diet. I would rather give myself insulin shots for the rest of my life than go on that crazy diet. I don't even I hate vegetables. That was Sergei's monologue. They went to the room. Igor came from work. Honey, so tired, hungry. What's for dinner? I said, banana. He ate a banana. Feels hungry still, even hungrier. Let's go watch a movie. In the movie that night, they were eating in every scene. In the magazine, commercials of golden chicken and rice on every page. The book full of eating details. Oh, let's go to bed. Couldn't sleep, rolling in bed. Close your eyes and you see all these French fries and burgers and burritos. At night, I heard somebody walking in the kitchen, opening the drawers, looking for a piece of food, dry piece of bread, one egg somewhere in the corner. I cleaned really well. In the morning, I found piles of peels of oranges and bananas. Somebody got really hungry. In the morning, Sergei's sitting at the table, poking his finger, measuring his blood sugar, saying, Mom, I'm cured, it's working. He was 9 years old. I say, hey, Sergei, it couldn't be that fast. It's just coincidence. Valya says, I'm cured also, I didn't cough. I said, it's just coincidence. Waiting for Igor to wake up, I thought he will be mad. He'll say, enough, don't tell anybody, let's go back to our normal life. He woke up and he surprised us all. He said, you know what? This is weird, but I kind of feel rested. My bulb is halfway gone. I could talk. I don't have pain. I am really interested. Let's continue. But please, can you figure out something we could really eat? And then I just bought even things that I didn't know how to pronounce, and I just chopped everything in a big bowl and put half a bottle of oil, lots of pepper, lots of salt. You should see how we were eating that stuff. We got really hungry by then. And it was not until Hiawatha came and taught me how to make peach pie and soup, something that legally could be called soup and still be eaten on raw food, but we were just eating salad for months and months before. And we started to feel better and better. And I lost 120 pounds in first year, and Igor's disease is all gone, his arthritis is gone, he's walking on his hands doing yoga, and Sergey never got on insulin, and Valya never had asthma attack since then. And in 3.5 months, we ran the 10-kilometer race as a family. Because I read in one of the books by Gillian Whitaker that running is the must for diabetics. Because while we're running 2 to 4 miles, extremities produce enough insulin to eliminate shots. When I was begging my doctor for any chance of not having insulin, why didn't she tell me that much at least? I would go for it. I would just inspire my child. I would buy him new running shoes, a nice shirt, nice, jacket, and I would take him by the hand, and I will just take him for a run no matter what it cost me. So we started to run, and first we only were able to run 1 block. But then very quickly, 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles, and then 10 miles. In 3.5 months, on Memorial Day, we ran 10K race, which is called Boulder Boulder, with 40,000 other athletes. Our names are all in documents there, that we did not walk, we actually ran. Our picture with the numbers on our chest is in this book, right? Taken right after this race, and we don't look exhausted there. We just look very happy, smiling. At this time, we knew that we're not going to die soon. And we knew that we found something that really improves the health. Listen, all 4 of us had different illnesses. And the only thing we really changed was the diet. We changed it radically, and we all felt better. And at this point, I canceled all my jobs, and I started to make my living by teaching raw food. And in the beginning in my classes, I was very lucky if I had 4 people, 5 people plus. I paid them if they come. I didn't give them money, but my husband would make massages. He's a massage therapist. And so he would give me money, and he said, buy nice food. Well, I didn't know how to prepare food like today. So we would just buy pineapple and slice it. It cost lots of money, and I would just say, please come, we'll feed you well, and we'll tell you nice things. And if there will be 4 or 5 people, I felt lucky. People liked our classes, but nobody went raw. People would just say, oh yeah, this is a great idea, yeah, I believe it, but they wouldn't go raw. But Igor still said, keep teaching people, just because I don't want my children to live like hermits, because their destiny is to stay raw. Because if they stay raw, they don't have to give insulin shots, they don't have to use inhalers, so we want people to know, to be aware that that kind of thing exists. After 5 years of teaching, I visited several AA groups of different kind, and I discovered that cooked food is addiction. At this time, I worked on a new book, on a new program, and I called it 12 Steps to Raw Food. And I have created this system that enabled literally thousands of people to stay raw in this cooked world. This book has coping techniques that teach people how to eliminate temptation, how to stand temptation, how to behave when you offered something that you really like to eat, but you really shouldn't. And it just gives you lots of different ideas, how to visit guests, how to go to family reunion, how to behave, how to not offend other people, how not to split with your family, all kinds of things. This book we sold just in the United States, self-published, and sold 68,000 copies. And it's been translated, as far as I know, into 9 languages. Plus, people tell me it is translated in other languages that I'm not aware of, like Belgium, for example. I never saw it, but I heard several people telling me that they've seen it. So this is a big success. However, today I'm going to tell you not only about the miracles of raw food, but I'm going to tell you about the problems that we had on raw food. Because in Russia we say, the fools learn on their own mistakes, and the clever people learn on other people's mistakes. So I want you to learn on my mistakes and not to follow our pitfalls. So when we stayed on raw food about 5 years, the miracles kind of stopped. We reached the plateau, and nothing stopped getting better and better and better. I stopped getting younger and younger and younger. When my husband has a very great Russian sense of humor, he told me if I will continue to get younger and younger, eventually I will just end up in diapers. And so he said, that's okay. Then another 6 months later, I started to feel like I'm getting older. And he said, well, nothing can stop the sunset. And even animals in the woods who eat only raw food, they still die. Well, that made sense. Another year or so later, we started to feel that something is going wrong, because every one of us developed at least one wart. We started to have gray hair, which is a sign of deficiency and toxic deposits. We started to have split nails. We developed some horrible cravings, especially in the evening when we're tired. Such bad cravings, and we couldn't find anything we could eat among raw foods that would satisfy us. So we would end up loading with nut butters and crackers and feel sick afterwards, but we didn't know what else to do. We started to experience lower energy when we're tired, and less energy than we used to, and we couldn't explain it because we didn't change anything. We were doing the same diet. We even were doing better diet, actually, but we were experiencing some kind of going backwards. I still was thinking, well, maybe we're detoxing, maybe just because we're eating these nut butters. The wake-up call was when my children started to complain that they have toothache and teeth sensitivity in general, which was opposite from what we experienced in the very beginning. If you read in our books, first we all experienced regeneration of our teeth. Now Sergey, one day he came to me, it was 2003, and he said, Mom, I did not sleep all night. I had toothache. Please make me dental appointment. And I took him to dentist, and we were shocked that he had 2 big cavities and lots of small cavities. I said to my children, this is not my goal to substitute diabetes with osteoporosis. I'm dedicated to find what's wrong and fix it. I wrote letter to every single professional that I know in the world who is knowledgeable in raw foods. Not only in the United States, in Australia, in Germany, in England, in different countries. And I was surprised to hear that they experienced the same thing. And some of them say, actually, they started to practice and try different things, like trying goat meal, goat yogurt, or 20% cooked food, or whatever. That was very weird. I would ask them, do you feel better? They say, not really. But we kind of in a corner, we trapped, we don't know what to do, we lost. Last summer, beginning of July, my family of 4, well, I also have older son who's 32, but he's not on raw food, so I'm talking a family of 4. We were invited as keynote speakers to the World Raw Food Festival in Germany, the 28th annual, called Children of the Sun. And after this festival, they invited about 20 speakers from different countries to the park, to the picnic. And we decided it was a perfect time for us to raise this question and discuss it. And we discussed this topic about what's going on. We've been on raw food for 11 years by then. And we're about to give up. It's just discouraging. We don't know what to do. Everybody said they had the same experience. And the man who actually organized that event, he said that he already for 2 years been eating 20% cooked food. I said, do you feel better? He said, not really. A trap. Igor and I went to St. Louis, Missouri, and we were examined thoroughly. The bone density, the blood, everything, urine. Nothing wrong with us. We have normal B12, normal calcium, everything like a young person. So what's wrong? Now I lost my peace of mind. It's in July of 2004, I lost a peace of mind. I said, something is wrong. This doesn't make no sense, right? It's just against any logic. We're all trapped. We need to find the answer. Because what about all these thousands of people that I led into raw food. When they will reach the plateau, they will all come with a little knife to my throat saying, "Hey, Victoria, what's next?" What do I say? Plus, I was really devastated to watch my children becoming really more and more discouraged with raw food and thinking and saying things like, maybe we should begin to steam some veggies. And then they would answer, but that doesn't make any sense. That's what made us sick in the first place. So, what's the answer? So I decided to perform my own research and in order to try to find the answer. So in the end of July 2004, I took every single group of food that exists. Fruits, vegetables, stems, blossoms, greens, and then meat, bone, dairy, yogurt, fish, shellfish, every single group, and compare it to nutritional needs of human body that is recommended by USDA, and to see which one would fit the best. And then after my research, I found out that there is only one food group out of all that fits all of their needs of human body, and that is greens. Greens, green leaves. Okay? And when I was making my research, I did not trust any data from any books or any documents. I was just using original calculation from the institutes that would just calculate the nutrients in certain food, particularly in the tomato or in cabbage, and so that's what I was using because that we could trust. And I found out that, for example, this is essential vitamins. Lamb's quarters is not from lamb, it's a weed, it's a name of the weed. So essential vitamin content in lamb's quarters and kale compared to RDA, which is daily recommended by USDA. So here I have what's daily recommended, here I have what we have, and you can see that there is a lot more, similar or more numbers, bigger numbers on the right. Keep in mind that the RDA recommendations are exaggerated in numbers because we're supposed to get our minerals, vitamins from pills, largely from supplements, and not all of them are absorbed. That's a known fact. So it's kind of blown up numbers here, digits. And still, what we have in here is much bigger. For example, let's say B1 vitamin, we need 1.2 milligrams per day, like lamb's quarters have 1.8. Or vitamin A, we need 900 micrograms per day, and kale has 21,000. So you see that it's a lot more than we need. The same with mineral content. These are essential minerals without which we cannot survive. The same with trace minerals. So for example, we need, let's say, 1,000 of milligrams of calcium per day, and lamb's quarters have 1,403 milligrams. But again, these are exaggerated numbers. The same with proteins. You know that we need proteins to be healthy, and we have in our body 28 amino acids. Some of these amino acids our body produces. We don't need to eat them. But 9 of them we have to get from other sources because our body cannot produce 9. That's why they're called essential amino acids. So we're really not concerned about the ones our body makes, right? We're concerned about the ones our body cannot make. So 9 of them are listed here. And as you can see, here's RDA, here's what we get. Okay, every number is larger. Here I put the numbers for apples and carrots. I couldn't find all proteins for carrots, so I just put here apples, but they are very similar. You can see that carrots and apples have very poor source of essential amino acids. And that explains how by mistake we were misled. We were generalizing. We said vegetables. But vegetables in our understanding include both carrots and kale. And so when they say that vegetables represent the poor source of essential amino acids. They may be mean in carrots. But if we look at greens, greens are the best source of amino acids, essential amino acids. Some of them are twice as much, even bigger than the exaggerated numbers. Plus, these are much better proteins for us to eat. The difference between this and animal food, like between chicken and egg, and this is like difference between buying a used dress at Salvation Army or buying new lace, new fabric, new pearls, and making your own dress. That's a big difference, because when you get them from greens, you get every essential amino acid separated, packed nicely, ready to be consumed by your body. When you get it in the shape of cooked pork, it comes in the shape of used, like from Salvation Army, used protein molecule, which your body has to work very hard to separate into essential amino acids, rearrange them. It takes a huge amount of energy. Lots of different juices like hydrochloric acid and stuff. So these are much better. By the way, it's interesting that many people today suffer from lack of essential amino acids. For example, when you lack tryptophan, the symptoms of your lack of tryptophan would be negativity, depression, worry, anxiety, low self-esteem, obsessive thoughts, behavior, winter blues, PMS, irritability, rage, heat intolerance, panic, phobia, afternoon or evening cravings, fibromyalgia, TMJ, night owl, hard to get to sleep, blah, 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 and cravings for sweets, starch, chocolate, ecstasy, marijuana, tobacco. So, despite the fact that we are the most consuming animal protein nation, we have a lack of essential amino acids. Does it tell us anything? We're not successful, we're not succeeding. This becomes very popular. We think that, oh, I'm just having a bad husband, oh, I'm just having a bad job, oh, my boss is just too rude. But the reason is that we don't have neurotransmitters that are formed based on essential amino acids. Okay, so we don't have a good mood, we have depression. So when I started to make my research, that came right on the surface. And it became quite obvious to me that we don't eat enough greens. And I knew right away that yes, in my family, we do not eat enough greens. And then I was thinking, all prominent nutritionists in the world, in his book, in his research, always says, the most important is to eat dark leafy greens. Have you heard that? Please participate. Yes. But nobody ever told us how much greens we need to eat, because you take 2 leaves of a salad and then you chop them and they take the whole ball, fluffy, and then you say, I eat a big bowl of green salad every day, so I think I eat enough, right? But nobody told us how much we need to eat. And here I am walking in my office thinking, how do I figure this out? If I don't trust any specialist in particular, and I want to figure this out scientifically, how do I figure this out? And I came up with the idea that I find the animal that is very closely resembles humans and see how much greens they eat, because I know even dogs eat green grass, even cats eat green grass. And of course goats and blah, 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 but I don't think we look like rats. And after research, I found the animal that is very close to humans. In fact, I was very shocked to know how close chimpanzees are to humans. They don't just share the same genes with us, but they share the same sequence of genes, if you know what it means. They share 99.4% of the same sequence. And I see you smiling, but you would be shocked to know that they have culture, that they have language, that they're very smart. Actually, 2 years ago, they've been considered over there in the world now they moved in a category from apes to humans, because now they've taught 7 chimpanzees in Central Washington University sign language, American Sign Language. These chimpanzees learned from 500 to 1200 signs. Compare that average American uses 80 words per week. And what they were doing, they would take a baby chimp and they would have 4 human adults taking turns, and they would not speak in front of them, because chimps do not have the same kind of vocal cords. Their vocal cords could just make different sounds. And chimps use their own sign language, which we humans don't know, don't understand. So they would teach the baby chimp human sign language, and they would only communicate by it. And so when they grow up, they continue to teach their children. It's like growing in a different country. I know if I would grow in America, I would speak Russian with accent and English without, right? So now they have 7 chimps, grown-up chimps in this university. You could go there, you could visit, and Saturday and Sunday you could watch them through the special window. When they cannot see you, you could see them. And if you understand sign language, you can see what they're talking about. You would be shocked to see that their baby is playing with a doll that looks like little chimp, baby chimp, that it's covering it with their blanket and, carrying it and rocking. And in the book, you can read the dialogues. They've been transcribed. The book is called Next of Kin. And I was shocked to read these dialogues. And you could even go online and read from that Central Washington University some of the dialogues there. For example, one dialogue approximately like this. It's a mealtime, and the big male chimpanzee is walking with a piece of broccoli. And the female is coming across, and she's saying, "Is the food there?" And he says, "Yes." And she says, "What else is there?" And he tells, "Water fruit." And there was watermelon. She says, "I love water fruit." And he says, "There is also cry fruit." And there was radish. And she says, "I don't like cry fruit." And she says, "Is Judy already there?" Another chimp. He says, "No, but she's on the way." She says, "I better hurry, because she will eat all the water fruit." And so she runs there. Can you imagine that? That they actually so smart, they just cannot speak words. You can read this book, you can go and see them doing this, but they evaluate that their level of communication is on the level of 5-6-year-old human. That is pretty amazing. Now, chimpanzees are so close to humans that their hearts, livers, and kidneys were transplanted to humans, and humans were able to live for a while, but human diet is way different from chimps, and so they would fail eventually. They have the same 3 types of blood that we do, and they have so much similarities that humans using them, unfortunately, in the labs, there are 1,500 chimps today being experimented on. Humans try to put on them hepatitis C, AIDS, all the kind of viruses. And I was now thinking, if we're so close, why don't we rub some of their health on us? Because there are very healthy chimpanzees existing today in the world. We're so lucky that 250,000 of chimps are right now alive in Gombe Valley, untouched by civilization. And we could actually go and see what is that they're eating, and how they're living, and how they look, and how long they look, and everything, how long they live. And there's one good woman, Jane Goodall, who already doing that for us. And she lived in Gombe Valley alone, with this just chimps in the small tent for 30 years, writing volumes about what they eat and everything. Wow, aren't we lucky? I went in the library and I bought tons of books, like hundreds of dollars, and I would read like from 6 to 9 in the morning, one book, then little break, then from 12 to 3, another book, and then from 8 to 11, another book. I was just really into research. And I discovered that what they eat, what these chimpanzees eat. Oops. This is what they eat. As far as I can remember myself, I would also always see the chimp with the banana in their hand pictured. And so I had no doubts that that's what their diet is. Oh, I was so wrong. Yes, they do eat fruit, but only half of their diet is fruit. And the next, almost the total half, is green leaves. Yes, they do eat a little bit of seeds, not as much as we do. Lots of seeds, bark, and pith, which is the stem of the plant. And yes, they eat about 5% of insects. I'll tell you why I'm not interested in insects, because insects, as animal protein, do not match the needs of human nutrition. What really matches our needs is greens. And that's what we do not consume enough. And that's what I'm really concerned with. Okay. Now I decided to see, I calculated my own chart, what is typical human diet. Different colors. The colors from chimps shrunk to this much. We eat something that doesn't exist in nature, cooked, white, rice, potato, bread, and pasta. This is the basis of every human, most of humans in the world, in all the countries. And then we don't even realize how much animal protein we consume, because there's cheese in the bread, there's eggs in the bread, there's yogurt, there's butter, there's all kinds of things. There's dairy, there's chicken, there's eggs, there's fish, there's shellfish, there's sushi, there's all kinds of animal protein. Now we humans can create some things that don't exist in nature. Oils, that's something else we created. And then we've been promoted to eat a lot of carrots. For some reason, we've been really promoted that carrot is really great source of nutrients. And this is the only vegetable that is sold in large bags, 25 or 50 pounds. You don't buy cucumbers in 25-pound bags. Even they're better for you. You don't buy anything else like tomatoes or mushrooms or greens or anything else in such huge quantities. So we consume lots of carrot. And yes, we do eat 2 apples a day to keep the doctor away. And yes, we do have 2 wilted iceberg lettuce leaves in our Subway sandwich. And then I decided to see what is the typical raw fooders diet. I've asked questions to my friends that eat raw food diet, and I created this chart. We got this part right. Considering that tomatoes are fruit, and bell peppers are fruit, and zucchinis are fruit, and cucumbers are fruit, and pumpkins are fruit. So we do eat. Half of raw fooders' diet is fruit. And then because of the promotion of carrots, we eat and juice a lot of carrot. I particularly was buying 25 to 50 pounds every week and religiously juicing it for my family. I had 4 juicers until one day, even the cashier asked me, "Do you have a horse?" That's how much I was buying. I said, "No, I have 4 juicers and a family who loves juices." And then raw fooders are the people who were grown up with typical raw food diet. There are no raw fooders today, or almost no, that were born on raw food. So we were all grown up, and we used to, and we love the main food, which is bread. And when we go on raw food, we miss it so terribly. especially at the time of vacation or reunion or Thanksgiving or Christmas. And we came up with a substitute for breads, crackers, pizzas, pies. What do we put instead of carbohydrates? Fats. Nuts and seeds, which are 70% fat. And that was number one mistake we did on raw food diet. We overconsuming nuts. And we also, on raw food diet, we overconsume avocados and oils because otherwise, how would you eat all this salad? Dressing makes the salad. Okay? And yes, we, instead of 2 iceberg lettuce leaf, we eat 4 lettuces. So, if I show you these 2 charts, and you look at this and you realize that this is all raw and it has all enzymes and vibrant energy in it, and you look at the typical, mostly cooked diet, typical, what would you say? Please. No mercy, you have to say. What do you see?
The raw is healthier.
It's healthier. It's a lot healthier. It's revolutionary healthier. It's so much better that it explains why when people go from this diet to this diet, they cure cancer and diabetes and arthritis and whatever, arrhythmia. However, if you continue to be on that and not consume enough greens and overdoing nuts, your body is gonna do what? Say, hey, I am deficient in everything essential because that doesn't give me what I need, and people are going to have a problem. Okay? So if we compare this with what I believe is much closer to our original diet, then we have ways to go. Right? So here I am facing another problem. The problem is I hate greens. I cannot eat greens. I calculated how many greens I'm supposed to eat if I'm supposed to eat 40% of my volume of diet greens. Well, I counted how many fruits I ate. August 2004, 8 to 12 pounds of fruit. That came to 2 bunches of greens per day. Good morning. Woo! I calculated several times. I couldn't even see. I couldn't even imagine. Well, I wish they were just small. Yeah? But that's how much I'm supposed to eat. And chimpanzees eat them without any dressing. But I'm a dedicated person. I look at my children every day getting more and more discouraged, and I just have to take action. So I came to my office with those screens. I said, I came hungry. I didn't eat anything. I said, I'm going to eat today, no matter what it cost me, no matter what it takes, I'm just going to eat those greens. Even if I'm going to die, I'm just going to eat them and see what happens. So I just ate 1 leaf, I ate 2, 3, 4.5. I choked. You can shoot me, I cannot eat anymore. I had heartburn, and it was just, couldn't eat them. Could not eat them. And they just wilted. I couldn't eat them. I went back to the library and got botanical book and decided to see about greens. I now wanted to study and know everything about greens. And as I was studying, I looked at the picture of leaves on the microscope, and it says that they're so rich in nutrients. They have everything we need. Everything I need. I'm suffering from not having this in my body, but I cannot eat them. What a paradox, right? Doesn't make no sense. And now as I'm reading, I'm seeing that each cell that has all these nutrients is packed in like a sarcophage, like a box made out of the hardest material in the world, the cellulose, the wood. There is nothing harder that exists in nature. There are some materials that man-made, like glass and metal and concrete, that are harder. But in nature, nothing harder than cellulose. And each cell is packaged in cellulose. That means that we have to rapture every single cell, and there's tiny, That means we have to chew our food to creamy consistency. That's what takes so long for chimpanzees. That's why they spend 6 hours every day eating their greens, chewing them to creamy consistency. And then I read in this book that in order to liquefy it so the body could absorb the nutrients, the body creates hydrochloric acid from 1 to 2 measurement, and then this hydrochloric acid crushes, liquefies it. And then I decided to see if I have good hydrochloric acid. And I went to gastroenterologist and I took the questionnaire, and I figured out that I don't have enough hydrochloric acid. So right now I'm going to read you the questionnaire and see if you have hydrochloric acid. It's very interesting. So I made 1,000 of these copies of this questionnaire and spread it in my classes and received answers and found out that 98% of all people that I questioned had almost zero, very, very low hydrochloric acid. Okay, would you like to know if you have it? You really need it. Well, I'll tell you why you need it. I would like to ask you to please honestly raise your hand if you have this symptom, because I need to see it for my research, okay? Have you ever had bloating, belching, and flatulence immediately after meals? Anybody? Look around, look around, look around. That is a definite symptom of low hydrochloric acid. Have you ever had indigestion, diarrhea, or constipation? Anybody? That is a very good symptom of having low hydrochloric acid. Have you ever had soreness, burning, or dryness of the mouth? Anybody? That's a sign of low hydrochloric acid. How about heartburn? For years, it's been considered that heartburn is a sign of high hydrochloric acid until one man, by mistake, took his wife's pills, which were hydrochloric acid pills, and he was relieved. He reported it to his doctor. Doctor initiated research. They found out that it's another symptom of low hydrochloric acid. They say that virtually there is nobody with high hydrochloric acid. Most people have low. Multiple food allergies, anybody? It's not a symptom, definite symptom. Feeling nauseous after taking supplements. Yes, no, hydrochloric acid, yeah? This one you don't have to raise your hand. Rectal itching, but I know it's popular. Next one, weak peeling and cracked fingernails. Anybody has peeling, slicing nails? That's a sign of you not absorbing enough of silica and calcium, okay? Low hydrochloric acid. And then redness or dilated blood vessels in the cheek and nose. Anybody? That's a sign, okay? Adult acne. Have you ever, anybody here, had a pimple on your face? Ever? When you don't have barrier against infection, then you have a pimple. Hair loss in women. Ladies, when you take a shower, what do you see on the floor? In the bathtub? Hair. You're getting less and less and less hair as you age. That's a symptom of having low hydrochloric acid. And iron deficiency. Anybody ever told you can use some more iron in your blood? Yeah, most of us. Undigested food in the stools. That's when you say, oh, that's tomato, that's parsley, that orange. Ever seen that? And you say, oh, this is beets. Is your stool changing color from eating beets? You definitely have low hydrochloric acid. Actually, in Russia, how they check if somebody has low hydrochloric acid, they give them on an empty stomach 4 ounces of beet juice, and then they wait till they go to the bathroom. If the stool changes the color to red or pink, yes, you have low hydrochloric acid. If stool is the same color, fine, you're normal. How many of you have normal? I couldn't believe it, you know. Well, I forget you to tell you this. Then I'll tell you now. When we reversed our hydrochloric acid deficiency, I made our family a big beet bowl, and I just couldn't believe that the stool wouldn't change the color, and everybody ate it. And then we went and saw that it did not change the color at all. That just blew my mind. I thought it's normal. And chronic yeast infections and low tolerance for dentures. So why do we need to have high hydrochloric acid? that is well-documented facts. You can find them in every book for medical doctors. It's just been well-researched. Medical researchers since 1930s have been concerned deeply about consequences of hypochlorhydria. Many minerals and vitamins require certain concentration of stomach acid, such as iron, calcium, zinc, B complex, folic acid, and many others. If we don't have enough hydrochloric acid, we develop illnesses such as food allergies, arthritis, both rheumatoid and osteoarthritis, anemia, vitamin B12 deficiency, asthma, diabetes, vitiligo, eczema, tic, Addison disease, celiac disease, lupus, thyroid disease, and many others. I wonder why no doctor in my life ever asks me those questions, because I see that it is like basics, like foundation. If I don't have enough hydrochloric acid, why would I take supplements? I would just have expensive urine, that's all. We need to have hydrochloric acid. So, if I don't have hydrochloric acid, then I cannot digest these leaves, and that's why I don't like them. My body cannot digest leaves. My body cannot liquefy it in my stomach because I don't have enough hydrochloric acid. That makes sense. So, that's why when I eat them, I have heartburn because my body cannot digest them. Here I am again in my office with these two new green bunches thinking, liquefying, liquefying. I have an idea. I know one thing that is liquefier, and that is the Vitamix blender, which is a very powerful blender. And I thought, okay, I can do this. I can cheat. I could just put it in the blender with water and blend it, close my mouth, nose, and drink it quickly, okay? How I do it with the wheatgrass juice, okay? And so I did. I put this in the blender, and I put some water, and then I drank, I quickly opened the lid, and I quickly closed it. Because the smell was much worse from any wheatgrass I ever tried. Could never drink that. I will vomit. Here I am saying, how in the world I'm gonna do that? And suddenly I just thought, what if I mix a banana with it? Maybe it will make it a little bit more mellow. So I peeled several bananas, put it in this blend, dark green gooey stuff there. And then with trepidation, I opened this lid. Smells good. I tried it. It tasted like just banana smoothie. And I drank it all. And I made more, put bananas, drank it more. In 4 hours, I, Victoria Boutenko, consumed 2 big bunches of kale in August 2004. First time in my life, as much as I supposed to, per day. And I was just seeing how I will feel and what's going to happen to me. Please understand that I did not have any big problem. And I was not looking for big improvements, but I had cravings, and I had a wart, and I had 13 gray hair, and some things. I came home and I told my family. They were sick and tired of me talking about greens, and they just really got discouraged. They didn't want to hear it. Igor would hear it to me because I said, I need to talk to someone here, honey. So I was just drinking it on my own. I was so excited, and in the beginning I really liked it so much that I did not want to eat anything else. I was just eating green smoothie alone because I was drinking 2 gallons every day, and I just didn't have any more time or space in my body to eat anything else. I was really totally satisfied. About a week later, 3 moles I had on my face since I was a young girl fell off. I came home and was taking a shower, and they fell off. And I had pictures where you could see 3 moles, ugly, growing every year, fell off my body while I was taking a shower. And I go around and say, Valya, Sergey, look, do you remember I had those moles on my face? And they say, yes, there were moles there. I say, see, they're gone. This is because of this green smoothie. And they really didn't like their warts on their hands. So they say, I'm willing to try a cup a day. Another week later, the wart I had on my knee fell off. I said, kids, this is a darn good sign when the growths begin to fall off the body. And then Igor said, I have warts on my hand. I cannot give massage. It scratches my patience. So he started to drink it. In 1 month, his warts fell off. Now my family started to drink green smoothie. Another month later, Igor's beard turned black because the hair on the face grows much faster than on the head. Like last summer, his beard was white, and now his beard is black. Oh boy, he loved that. Everybody's telling him, Igor, you look 10 years younger. I was like, oh, everybody says I'm looking younger. So, Igor made you today green smoothie. We want you now to try green smoothie and see for yourself if you like it. And do people just run there and take it, or? Oh, he's going to bring. Okay, but please, when you finish, you just keep quiet so I continue, because if you keep quiet, I can tell you more, because I have lots of things to tell you. It's just the beginning. Are you excited? Are you inspired? Woo! For health. You can say for health. Well, can I continue talking while you trying it? I would like at this point to acknowledge Dr. Ann Wigmore, that she actually invented blended greens. And actually, about 10 years ago, I was introduced here at Creative Health Institute to the blended greens this is called energy soup. But, and they were very healing, but one problem is that they were not very delicious. And I heard many people who even had cancer and knew that they felt better were complaining that they would rather die than consume green smoothie. So nevertheless, I brought green smoothie home, and I bought the Vitamix blender, and my intention was to continue to drink them. And I wanted my children to drink them. But you know what happened on the second day? As soon as my children heard the blender running, Sergey yelled to Valya, run! And they were hiding, and I couldn't find them. And I just didn't want to scare them away off raw food, and so I had to give up. And then I forgot all about this. But I want to tell you that Ann Wigmore, I believe that she was the healthiest person of the 20th century. Do you know that when she was 54, she had mostly gray hair? And when she was 84, she didn't have even one gray hair. And I did research, and I found on the internet a very funny article when her students did not believe that she's not dyeing her hair, and they asked her permission to cut few hair and send it to the lab to testing. And when they received the test results, they said that it's a natural color. And I want also to tell you that without Ann Wigmore, we wouldn't have raw food today, because she invented not only wheatgrass, not only blended greens, she invented milk, the nut milks, seed cheese, nut loaf, almond loaf, crackers, and so many things that the raw food today is based on. And, people took over and now they developed it, but we need to remember that she was the founder. And I think that she was the healthiest person of the 20th century, because her last years of her life, she lived almost strictly on blended greens. And she was only sleeping 2 hours a day. She was running most of the day. And I want to tell you that in last year, I was only sleeping 3-4 hours, sometimes 2 hours a day. And because I was working on my research, and I was working like crazy. Well, I think I pushed myself a little bit too far, but I was able to do that. Anyways, October 2004, I wrote the article which I call Ode to Green Smoothie. And I was told there are going to be only 40 people tonight, so I made about 50 copies. But if you could, so some of you already have this article, so you don't, please share and take only if you really want to have a copy. Also keep in mind that this article is on my website. To my list, and I asked people if they experiment with green smoothie, I would like to hear the feedback. Of course, many people, there's so much information now coming, they just threw it away. But some people read it. Can you raise your hand? Is anybody here received my Ode to Green Smoothie in October? There are a couple of people. Did you read it? Anybody? Anyways, I started to receive phenomenal feedback. Phenomenal. One guy in Canada, 16-year-old young man, was on insulin already for 3 years. I did not even expect anything like this happen. He, after just taking green smoothie on a regular basis, like about a quart per day, he stopped. His doctor told him that he does not need any more insulin shots. Wow. And he sent me his testimonial. I was like, how could that be? This is fantastic. Another woman from China, from Taiwan, how in the world she got on my email list, I don't know. She is teacher of English language in Taiwan and university. She received my email when she visited her doctor, and doctor told her that she has pancreatic cancer stage 4, that nothing could save her. She cannot take any chemo or operation or anything, and she has maximum 6 months to live. And she had 2 young daughters. She was 36 years old. And she started to drink this green smoothie and do anything else she could do. 6 months later, she wrote me a letter that she went to the same doctor because she didn't die. She wanted to know how much time she has. He checked her pancreas. He said, not only you don't have no cancer at all, but your pancreatic juice is way better than average. So I started to receive this kind of feedback, and I would come home every day with the feedback, and I say, guys, I dug out something really big. I wish I thought about the better name for it, because I just called it green smoothie. We should call it something like majestic, whatever. No, it's just called green smoothie. Anyway. So we've been drinking this green smoothie for 4 months, and suddenly we didn't want it anymore. I said, oh no, not another plateau. Suddenly we don't drink it 1 day, 2 days, we don't want it. I just say, Igor, I cannot even drink 1 cup. What's going on? I already made a big noise about this. And then Igor was within the garden. We have a little garden, and he brought lots of chickweed from the garden, and he said maybe we could blend it because it looks really green and nice. And he blended it, and we tried it, and we wanted it again. Suddenly we're drinking 2 gallons again. What's happening? What's going on? Back to research. Now I know how to do research. Back to the library, back to internet, and I'm doing research. And I found out, listen, 150 million years ago, there were no animals on this planet. No birds, no humans, no animals, not even fish, just plants. And plants had a hard time propagating because the only power they could rely on for propagating was wind. There were no insects yet. And these plants had a very hard time propagating because the seeds would be wasted all the time. I wouldn't be surprised if one day scientists would discover that the plants invented animals or birds, because the idea was to create part of the plant that will have the seed inside, and it will have something outside that would be very attractive to birds and animals. So like cherry, like pumpkin, what's a pumpkin? Like no, not pumpkin. Like peach, like apple. See, when the apple doesn't have ready seeds, doesn't have brown seeds, it is green and bitter and unattractive. And if you bite it, you throw it away. But when the seeds are ready to get married and have babies, grow in a big tree, they turn into yellow, red, purple, and they begin to smell, become very sweet. And when the cherries are ready, they are irresistible. Have you ever noticed how quickly the birds take care of the cherry tree when it's ripe? 1 day. You don't even you just turn around and it's gone. So the trees came up with this idea, and it worked. The birds took the cherry, they chewed it, the seed is covered with inhibitors, went through undigested. The bird is already 2 miles away, but there's no cherry trees yet. The bird, poops. And the seed covered with nice fertilizer gives birth to a beautiful cherry tree. Isn't it great? It's really genius. But one time, the birds ate all the cherries, and they flew away, and next year, they didn't come back. They were busy chasing shellfish, and didn't come back, and the cherry tree had all the seeds wasted. And the cherry trees had symposium when they were deciding, how can we keep all the birds here locally around the year so they don't go away? And one tree said, we need to give them another part of the tree that they could always eat, and it would be nutritious and necessary for them. And the seeds were having symposium. Can we give them the roots? No, we cannot give the roots, because if they eat the roots, the tree will die. So let's hide the roots under the ground. Can we give them the trunk? No, the tree will then drain to death. So let's cover the trunk with the bark. We can give them leaves. Oh yes, because we can make lots of leaves as long as there's sunshine. Okay, let's do that. And then the birds came back, and suddenly these greens had so many nutrition, and birds ate all the leaves of the tree, and the tree died. And then the trees were having another symposium, and they said, we have to protect it so they only eat part of the leaves and go to the other tree. How do we do that? And then the old oak said, let's put a little bit of poison, of different poison in each leaf. So they eat a little bit, get tired of it, go to another one. And then the trees decided, so be it. And so it is. Dear friends, the truth is, and it is a scientific fact, that every single green in the world, every green leaf has a little bit of alkaloid in it. And you know that spinach has what? Oxalic acid. Very little. And parsley has what? Arsenic. And lettuce has what? Romaine lettuce has opium. And dandelion and alfalfa has what? Nicotine. And you cannot find no green in the world, be it barley green, be it wheatgrass, be it any green that does not have no alkaloid at all. And that forces all the animals and all the birds and all the insects to constantly rotate. And you see that you follow their deer, they'll eat off one tree, go to the next one. Because if you eat variety of 100 leaves per year, different kind, those small amounts of alkaloids will not hurt you. They actually will work like homeopathic remedy, and they will make you stronger. But when we were drinking kale for 4 months, kale, we poisoned. I even experienced numbness on my face. So, I'm giving you a very important message. We need to learn to rotate. As we learn to consume enough greens, we learn in the very important lesson of our life and our nutrition that we need to rotate like all the animals do, like the ancient people do. Rotate what we green. and all the insects to constantly rotate. And you see that you follow their deer, they'll eat off one tree, go to the next one. Because if you eat variety of 100 leaves per year, different kind, those small amounts of alkaloids will not hurt you. They actually will work like homeopathic remedy, and they will make you stronger. But when we were drinking kale for 4 months, kale, we poisoned. I even experienced numbness on my face. So, I am giving you a very important message. We need to learn to rotate. As we learn to consume enough greens, we learn in the very important lesson of our life and our nutrition that we need to rotate like all the animals do, like the ancient people did. Rotate what we eat. So you eat collard and romaine and parsley and weeds, lamb's quarters, purslane, chickweed, and then you eat carrot tops and beet tops and parsley. One day I became curious, how many greens per year chimpanzees eat? Are you curious to know? 117 per year average. Then I was curious, how many do we have available? Including 16 variety of sprouts, including even things like aloe vera and cactuses and everything we have, all the weeds, 34. That means that we now, as we learn to eat greens, we need to re-educate ourselves. We need to educate our produce managers and our farmers that we need to increase variety of greens. And my dear friends, when you look around on the planet, what is the prevailing color? Green. Everybody! Green. It's a green revolution. Greens, abundance of greens. Listen, I read the books about poisonous plants, and for each 1,000 of plants is only one poisonous plant. Most of them are edible. However, we humans detached ourselves from nature, and for thousands of years we did not eat them. And so we have to learn to consume. We need to restore our hydrochloric acid, because if we don't have enough hydrochloric acid, we cannot tolerate the ashes in things like elm tree or linden tree. There are so many leaves that you can eat now. Some of them you can eat when you restore your hydrochloric acid. For example, grape leaves are perfectly edible. Young grape leaves, they exist all through the end of October. The young leaves, they're delicious. You can just even eat like salad. Pumpkin leaves. I found pumpkin leaves edible. Amaranth leaves are totally edible. There are so many leaves that we don't even know that they're edibles. Here I have plantain, lamb's quarters, dandelions, purslane, chickweed, and stinging nettles that you have to harvest with gloves. And then as soon as you blend them or rub them, they won't sting you anymore. But what's that? Comfrey, alfalfa, clover. If you don't know what to eat, follow the goat, follow the sheep, follow the horse. They will not eat any poisonous plant. You guys should take us all on an herb walk. I guess you know well. Okay, so as we all in our civilized world lack nutrients and getting sick from not having enough nutrients, we grow these plants and we throw away the best part of the plant and we eat the very small part. Let's look at the nutritional content and compare the roots and the leaves. And I made this all by myself, calculated the difference, and I put the beets on the right and on the left the beet greens, or for you it's opposite, it doesn't matter. And every number on the right side is bigger, way bigger. For example, vitamin K is very important for making blood. The beet leaves have 2,000 times more vitamin K than the roots. And the roots actually are quite poor in nutrition. Plus, in order to eat them, we have to cook them, mostly, right? And the only thing which is higher in roots is sugar. Okay? The same with every single root and green. So the greens actually what we're supposed to eat. Now let me go further. Look at this carrot here. Where is that? Look at this carrot. Do you know that in nature, carrots never grow like that? Natural carrot, wild carrot, doesn't have this root. It has, the root of the natural carrot looks like hair. Why does carrot taste sweet if we're not supposed to eat it? Well, let's stop thinking that we're the only ones on that planet. The sweetness is for microorganisms. Because the plants are smart enough to have the farm under the soil. The natural soil has a homeostatic balance of microorganisms. The natural soil, when humans arrived to this planet, there was 100% organic matter. That means that 100% of the soil were microorganisms. Now we have 98% dust, 2% microorganisms. No wonder our produce is so poor. Organic has 28% maximum organic matter, and the rest of it is dust. When it becomes 99% dust, nothing can grow in it, period. So plants developed farms underneath where they were feeding microorganisms with the rootlets of the roots. So microorganisms grow, eat this sweetness, sugar, carbohydrates, and produce minerals for the greens. So then the seeds will grow and give birth to new carrots. Okay, so we're stealing it from the soil. When we take in the roots and throw away the greens, then the microorganisms don't have enough food. We totally messed it up. It's not for us. And we made it big. You can kill with that, you know. So whatever, it's amazing. You know, my research took me to different regions, and I'm just amazed that so much of this information is not being put together properly. It really is like on the surface, how it's supposed to be. I was so fascinated with some soils. There is still good soil in few places on this planet. Like Siberia. Siberia has 51 of all the forests of the world. Alaska, if they will stop drilling there, and some other place. And when I read that there is homeostatic soil has this same ratio of bacteria that we have in human guts in small intestines. 85% of this bacteria is what we call good bacteria. Why we call it good? The bacteria does know it's good, but we call it good because it's aerobic bacteria, bacteria that loves oxygen. And where is oxygen, that bacteria thrives. And 15% is anaerobic, or we call it bad bacteria, that when there's no oxygen, it thrives. So in the soil, there's 85% good and 15 bad, and we have to have it in the guts. As soon as we put fertilizer, pesticide, penicillin, aspirin, or any artificial flavoring cooked food, the ratio becomes opposite. Now we have 90 to 95% bad bacteria. That's what causes the bad smell in the bathroom. And only 5 to 10% trying to survive good bacteria. Okay? And when I researched that, and when I read this, what I did, well, I don't say that you have to do this, because I don't want to be responsible for what you do. But what I did, I went to the forest with a little shovel, and I found what I think clean place deep, far away from highways, and I dug myself a ceramic bowl of salt, because I now understand that if you put it in the plastic bag, those microorganisms that are precious gonna suffocate. So ceramic bowl, and I brought it home like this carefully, and I took a teaspoon of that, and I put it in a cup of pure water, and I stir it. I waited till all the heavy particles like sand went on the ground. It was not much. And then I strained it a couple times because there was something on the floating. And then I drank this water. It was like slightly foggy water, and it tasted like river water, like lake water, like rainwater. And I started to do this every single morning. I would take a teaspoon of that. It's totally my responsibility. I'm not telling you to do this. I don't want to be responsible, but I'm sharing with you because I understand that for millions of years, humans were drinking water from rivers and lakes, and it did have enough good bacteria to replenish. And now we drink it out of filter, bottle, and we totally disconnected. And in all the cities, the land is covered with the cement, asphalt, and all these organisms are dead. When even if we take it out, we'll have to spray it with, I don't know, yogurt or something, because there's no life in there. It's suffocated. Don't ever put black plastic on your garden. It needs to breathe. And it needs to have this matter. And I understand why the rye field always has these blue flowers. What do you call them? You know, the rye field always has blue, what we call weed. No, blue, not chicory. Like chicory. Anyways, and every farmer is really mad at that, but this blue flower provides feeding for the soil that the soil will keep the rye growing really well. And they try to take all the seeds out of this blue flower, and it wouldn't grow. It's an alliance. Okay. Well, enough about soil. About cancer. Cancer used to be number 2 killer in the United States of people. Now it's number 1. Heart attack is now number 2. Cancer is number 1. Since February of 2005, it's been announced that cancer is number 1, and the American Medical Association announced that every second person who is living today will die from cancer in this lifetime. My dear friends, if you go to oncological center, you'll see there are thousands of children who don't have hair because they have cancer. They're going through chemo. This is very sad. My mother died from cancer. It's a horrible, painful illness. Hiawatha lost her daughter, right? That's how it all started. That's why I think that Hiawatha is my mother, because she's the same age as my mother. And she lost daughter, I lost mother, so we together. About cancer. Dr. Otto Warburg from Germany in 1939 was awarded Nobel Prize. Actually, he received 2 Nobel Prizes in one lifetime. Can you believe that? For discovering the cure and cause for cancer. In his Nobel speech, he said, "Congratulations, comrades. Cancer is now the most well-researched disease, and there is no excuse anymore not to prevent and not to cure cancer." It was more than 75 years ago. Since then, millions of people died from cancer. I'm thinking that if somebody was given 2 Nobel Prizes, that means that that person really did something, did figure out something. We shouldn't really not pay attention to that. So I decided to read his research, and I found out that he said, if we have correct bacteria in our guts, then we have alkaline solution in our blood, then cancer cannot survive in our body. Please do not confuse hydrochloric acid with alkalinity of the blood. The only acid liquid that our body produces is stomach acid. Everything else is supposed to be alkaline. So our body is supposed to be 7.5 to 8 alkaline. When we have enough oxygen, when we have good bacteria, our body is alkaline. Then you can never have cancer. Unfortunately, most of people have acid condition. Игорь, мне нужно эту бумажку. Она у меня на моем сиденье в пакете. Давай. We're going to show you something. How do you know if your body is alkaline or it's acidic? You just go to the store and you buy litmus paper. Igor is going to bring, I'm going to show you. It's cost about $15, $16. It will last to your family for 3 months maybe. You just take a little piece, and when you go pee, you put your urine on that paper, and you see the color, you match the color. And if the color stays yellow, that means you're acid. And that means you really need to do something right now to become alkaline, to make your blood alkaline, because it is dangerous. It is causing cancer. But if you see that your litmus paper is green or better purple, you can rest assured that everything is fine and you could do anything you want. You could serve your dream, your mission. When I was eating raw food for many years, once in a while I run into those articles or books about acidity, alkalinity, and I would buy this paper and I would measure everybody in my family, and we were always acid. And I was thinking, that does make no sense. I am on the best in the world diet, 100% raw for many years, better than anybody else, and I am acid. Something is wrong with it, and I would throw it away. And of course, when I started to do my new research and doing green smoothies, I ran across it again. Plus, Otto Warburg said this is important for against cancer. I bought it again. I measured everybody. We all had dark green color. I was fascinated with this, and I started to research. Every 2 hours or so, I measured. Thank you. So that's it. And it has here the grades of color. And so you just take a little piece, and you pee on that, and then you just measure. And that's all. It's so simple. You don't have to go to the doctor. And I suggest that you buy it, you put it in your bathroom, and you encourage every child, every adult to check it. And you take care of your life. You take care that you do not get cancer. You make sure that you have your blood alkaline, no matter what it does. Now, I'm going to tell you what makes your blood alkaline, what makes it acidic. The most acid forming in the world is alcohol. That just, vary. The next after alcohol is pork, plus 34 acid. Next comes Parmesan cheese, very acid forming. Then come all the rest of the cheeses, and then dairy food and eggs, chicken, fish, beef, everything there, all very acid forming. Then go all vegetarian cooked food. Cooked carbohydrates are acid forming. The nuts and seeds are kind of neutral, kind of in the middle, like walnuts are slightly acid, just slightly. Almonds are slightly alkaline. Then towards alkalinity we go. Most of the fruits are slightly alkaline. The vegetables are more alkaline. The most alkaline forming fruit is ripe lemon. Ripe lemon. I would never thought of that, but because it's sour. But lemon is so alkalizing that if you check yourself and you see that you have acid urine, you just squeeze lemon in the cup of water and drink it quickly, check your urine again 30 minutes later, and it becomes green. And then goes very alkalizing fruit, watermelon. Watermelons, melons, and cucumbers, very, very alkalizing. To such a degree that there is a book, it's called Alkalize or Die, which is a very true name, Alkalize or Die, by Theodore Barodi, who says in his book that if you have to go to that dinner and you know you're going to eat there something like steak or something else, eggs, Make sure when you come home you have half a watermelon there so you kind of balance it. I personally don't think it's going to work, but it gives you an idea that how you kind of balance your life so you play with it. I think you'll have to eat 5 watermelons to balance a steak. Now, can you guess what is the most alkalized form in food in the world? Yes, -28. The highest, there's nothing higher, anything that has chlorophyll. Okay, but you have to rotate. That's why you have to rotate. If you take in barley green, or wheatgrass, you get nauseous. Rotate, rotate. So, I gave you an idea what to do and how to stay alkaline, and now you could. I know that when I was saying green, then I ate a handful of cashews, and it became acid. Woo, really acid, like almost white. And it took me half a gallon of green smoothie to bring it back to green color. So I think it's not that easy, and it tells us again what we're supposed to eat, and so I gave you an idea, okay? So when we stayed for 6 months on Smoothie, I've noticed that my nails became so strong that one day I couldn't clip them with the nail clipper. I had to use a toenail clipper. And when I had tacks in the wall, I was pulling them with my nails and they didn't even crack. And Igor had the same, and my kids had the same. I said, Valya, do you have hair loss? She says, you know, I don't have even one single hair anymore when I take a shower. I said, me too. My rubber band here used to be folded 3 times. Now it's folded 2. I have bigger volume of hair. And I say, yeah, looks like the symptoms of low hydrochloric acid are getting reversed. How do we figure out if it's true? How do we figure out? And at this point, I've been talking to Igor, and I said, I want so badly to meet some man, some doctor or woman who is gastroenterologist, who would risk their license, who would do the testing on their customers, on their patients who have low hydrochloric acid. They offer them green smoothie, and we see if it reverses. The very next morning, I get a call from Dr. Paul Faber in Oregon. He says, I would like you to help me with the raw food. I said, what kind of doctor are you? He said, I'm gastroenterologist. I almost fell off the chair. I said, please don't hang up. I need you. And he said, I don't care. I'm retired. I would love to talk to my patients. I have lots of patients with hyperchlorhydria. And I actually have patients with 0 hydrochloric acid. And he says, I bet they would love to try something different because they're tired of taking this hydrochloric pills, acid pills with every meal, plus they have side effects. And so we decided to do an experiment. I went to Roseburg and I spoke to his patients and I told them, please, we will supply you with 1 quart of freshly made green smoothie every single day, and we ask you to not change your diet, continue to eat your chocolate, your whatever, coffee, chicken, vodka, potato, whatever. Just add this smoothie that we give to your diet, and we will measure, Dr. Paul Faber will measure your hydrochloric acid before and 30 days after, and we will see. And 27 people stepped forward and they said, I'd be willing to do that. And we live 120 miles away from that town. And Igor, my best friend in the world, my beloved husband, he's been driving every single day, 120 miles one way. And Sergey and Valya got re-inspired with this green smoothie. We're blending 4 hours every day, 19 gallons of smoothie. And this is the Roseburg group. And we take it every single day to them. Waiting, what's going to happen? Don't know, maybe nothing will happen. Or maybe something will happen. Within 2 weeks, they all began calling me and sending me emails. And I did not tell them anything about raw food. I just gave them my books as a gift, as my appreciation, but we didn't ask them to do the raw food. And they are not health nuts. They're just regular farmers, firemen, lawyers, and very, very nice, simple people, even simple life. Never read many health magazines. And so they begin to call me and say, hey, Victoria, will it be okay if I stop drinking coffee? I said, no, 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 that was our arrangement that you continue. And she said, but you know what? It's been my life dream to quit drinking coffee, and now I don't want it anymore. I say, well, I guess it's okay. And then another woman says, can I stop eating candies? I don't want them anymore. They give me heartburn. And then I say, okay. And then the big man who used to love meats, and he would always make a joke. He says, when they offer me pork or beef, I say, and chicken also. And he says, it's ridiculous. He says, I now crave, crave salads. I salivate when I'm looking at salads, because this just couldn't be so. And all of them begin to write me that they're sleepless nights gone away, their sexual performance improved, their headaches gone. The doctors tell them they don't need to take any pills. They're just doing so wonderful, and they crave healthy food. They crave salads, and they don't want to smoke, to drink. They don't want to take anything that is stimulating and bad. They think it is better. The vision is clear. Okay, 30 days is coming towards the end. We counting days, Igor especially, counting days. My children counting days. By the end of that month, our 3 accounts were already overdrawn because we were buying all this kale and all this bananas and mangoes and driving, and gas is expensive. And so finally, the 30 days are over. Dr. Fieber takes their test, and he calls me early in the morning. And he says, Victoria, are you ready? Are you sitting? 66.8% improvement average. Some people totally reversed the condition. In 1 month from just 1 quart of green smoothie, wow, wow. So, most of us have low hydrochloric acid, and there is a way to reverse it by drinking blended greens. Well, I understand that this is just a pilot study. And 3 months ago, here at Creative Health Institute, I met a man, Eugene, from St. Petersburg, that put me in touch with Medical Academy of Science of St. Petersburg, where now they're funding my research about hydrochloric acid that's going to last for 1 year. So it's going on. It's amazing. So I think it was just meant to be. So you have an idea what to do. Now, fiber. One day I was reading the book about chimpanzees, and by some researchers, by scientists, and it says that they consume per day 300 grams of fiber. I said, that couldn't be so. It's like a pound of fiber. I went through the book, and I found another place where it says 300 grams of fiber. I said, wow, what does that mean? The American Medical Association recommends that we consume 30 grams of fiber. The average American statistically consumes 7 to 12 grams. At that day when I read this, I consumed 3 grams because I was juicing. And I started to look at the fiber. There is insoluble and soluble fiber. Soluble comes from fruit, insoluble comes from peels of fruits or from greens. So, soluble fiber helps our stool to be soft, not too dry so we don't have constipation and other things. But insoluble fiber under microscope looks like a sponge, and it absorbs toxins that our body sends and transports to the colon, which is our sewage system. Not only this, raw insoluble fiber has a negative charge when all the toxins in the body have positive charge, and because of that, the one piece of insoluble fiber, raw, can hold 16 times the amount of that fiber on it. Imagine, I call it magic sponge. Imagine you have sponge in the kitchen that could take 16 times the amount of dirt. You just clean your kitchen in one move. That's what we have in the body. That means that this fiber that we were told that we don't have to consume because it just puts load on our digestive system and it's anyways undigestible and we shouldn't really care and we should juice and throw away the fiber in the compost. That fiber is so important. That means that this fiber is like those guys that come in your house to take out the garbage. You have your children or husband or somebody taking the garbage out of your house. Do you take it every day out? Or every week? What would happen to your house if you will not take any garbage out for just 1 year? Can you give me an idea, please? Anybody? What will happen? What will happen? What will happen? You wouldn't have a place to lay down to sleep. So, what happens in your body? Your body doesn't allow you this to happen. If that begins to accumulate in the body, and we have lots of toxins, I can tell you that we receive pounds of toxins every day. Pounds of toxins. Everything that is undigested is a toxin and has to take out. So the body begins to literally push it through the screen door, through the pores of the skin. That's why we have rash, pimples. That's why we have, we call it detox. The body begins to pour it through the armpits, through the eyes, through the ears, through any hole it could find in the body, through furuncle. I used to teach, I confess to you, I used to teach that detox is great. When you have detox, I say congratulations. Now I say, if you have a detox, that means that you do not consume enough fiber. I went around and I met some 80, 90-year-old people, and I asked them, what did your grandmother do when you had high fever? Do you remember? And they say, my grandmother would give me an enema. And what happened next? The fever was gone within 30 minutes. So fever is a detox. So when we don't have enough guys to take out the garbage, we develop detox. We don't have to go through detox. And listen, when we want to become healthy and clean the toxins from the body, what do? We take a 30-day water fast, juice fast. This is just insane. We need to go on a maybe smoothie fast or eat more fiber. Now, you can calculate how much fiber you consume per day if I tell you that one banana has 2 grams of fiber. One apple has, if you eat it with peel, 4 grams of fiber. One bunch of greens has 4 grams of fiber. Animal food has 0 fiber. White bread, white rice, potato cooked has 0 fiber. Yes, bran muffins have fiber, but it's cooked. It's not as magical. The supplements of fiber are pasteurized. So, you see how much. And I think that fruits and vegetables are not enough. For the sake of fiber, I highly recommend that you consume flax seed. How you do it, you just put it in your coffee grinder or just, grind it and put it on the table, and whatever you eat, you put a tablespoon of that powder on your salad, on your soup, in your smoothie, everywhere. Or you blend it in your smoothie, because 2 tablespoons of flaxseed has 18 grams of fiber, both soluble and insoluble, and it has omega oils and lots of good stuff, and that will make it kind of enough. If you want to know my opinion, how much I think we should have fiber, I say that to have perfect health and beautiful elimination, 50 to 70 grams. But you cannot have today 3 grams and tomorrow 50. You'll get clogged. You'll need a wash. So slowly build it up, because your body is too weak there inside. There's sluggish. It needs to get used to it because it's going to, create peristalsis. Do you understand how important is the fiber? When I read this, when I understood this, first day after this, I took out my juicer and I was making juice and I was throwing away the juice and I was eating the pulp because I was juicing for 30 years. I wanted to undo the damage. But then I realized it will take me forever. And I just, out of my 4 juicers, I just left a twin gear. And I just sold the 3 of them because I decided juicing is not healthy. Well, to tell you the truth, I still juice once in a while. For example, on a summer hot day, I juiced myself greens only, like cucumber, celery, and some greens, and the twin gear juicer because I've tested acid, my urine, and I wanted quickly alkaline, and I thought, well, that's okay. But it's like once a month, not like I used to do it. I used to start my day with juice. Well, maybe a cup of carrot juice is better than French fries. Of course it's better than French fries. But I'm telling you that we need to consider everything. So later we don't reach the plateau when we don't know where to go. Why don't we begin from the beginning to do correct things? I could tell you more things, but I think we're running out of time. I want to emphasize how important is that to eat organic food. Not only because organic has no pesticides, but because organic has microorganisms, and microorganisms provide the minerals and vitamins. For example, let's look at organic tomato. Organically grown tomato has 1,938 milligrams of iron, when commercially grown tomato has 2,000 times less of iron. If I were the store, I would sell it